And he and I had some really good sparring moments. And I am glad to have him back on the show because I have not had him back on the show since. He is now, of course, the head coach of the Arizona State Sun Devils, coming off a Las Vegas Bowl season last year where they were second in the Pac-12 South and finished with a 7-6 record. Herm Edwards is our guest. Herm, good morning.
Good morning to you, my friend. You've come a long way now. You're in New York City, boy. You're big. You're big time.
I don't know about that, but I will say this, that after we had some of those fun incidents, which I think both you and I had fun with, sure. I saw you outside of the Fog Allen Fieldhouse for a Kansas game. And my dad was with me. And I said, Dad, you want to go meet Herm Edwards? And he was like, of course. His eyes lit up. Oh, my goodness, I get to meet Herm Edwards. And I introduced him to you, and you couldn't have been nicer. And he was just all about meeting you. And I was so grateful. And you said a classic line. You said, I told him Damon was a nice name. And my dad just started dying laughing. So I'll never forget how well you treated him.
Well, I just think it doesn't cost a lot to be nice, does it? And I think if you do that, you open the doors of conversation. And I learned that from my parents, and why wouldn't you do that? I mean, that's what life's about. Everything we've actually learned from somebody else. And a lot of the things we've learned have been through conversations with people. So that's always got to keep those doors open.
Well, why weren't you nice to me when you threatened to kick my ass on the practice field one day when I was out covering the team, and you said, D, I want to talk to you in the middle of this practice field, and then you scolded me.
Well, I can't even remember why. It was probably something that was done that was kind of a little bit on the side of, no, you shouldn't be doing that, in practice. But I don't know. I can't remember anymore. But it was one of those deals where I think it was more of, trying to get your attention probably. I can't remember what the incident was, to be quite honest, but hopefully you didn't take it serious.
No.
That's never the intention.
No, I know. And I always really respected covering you because you were so transparent with your intent for coaching the team and the players. The relationship that you had with the players was on public display. You treated everybody, I thought, very fairly and very honestly. And I always wondered where you got that from. I know that you come from a military background household. Yeah. Was that from that, or perhaps other coaches that you had learned from the past? Well,
obviously from my dad being a master sergeant, but also from coaching. I had some great coaches coming up. My high school coach, Dan Albert, who I still visit with from time to time. He actually came to a game last year here. And my pro coach was Dick Vermeil. And we still have relationships. Dick calls me about every other week. I saw him at the Hall of Fame, obviously, and people like that influence your life. And I do believe if you're an athlete, whatever sport you play, man or woman, there are coaches in your life that really give you a lot of insight on how to behave, doing the proper thing on purpose. When you're when moments are uncomfortable for you, how to handle those moments, that's a part of coaching, and that's a part of maturity as you grow up and you go through the different levels of athletics. Whether you start in high school, go to college, and fortunately for me, went to pro football. I had a lot of men in my life that gave me some good advice and good direction.
Herm Edwards, head coach at Arizona State, joins us this morning on the show. You took many years off from coaching to come back for this Arizona State job. Dick Vermeil, who you succeeded at Kansas City, also took many years off before he came back to coaching. He came back for the Rams after a broadcasting career. Did you reach out to him or at least think about him at all? Because, of course, you played under him when you took that time off to come back to coaching?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can remember giving him a call when he was contemplating coming back. And I was one of the first guys that said, Coach, you need to go back. I mean, you're good for football. Obviously he called me as well. I said, I know, Coach.
Circle of life.
Yeah, it really is. And I've been very fortunate and blessed in my whole life. I mean, I tell people all the time, I've never had a job. I grew up a football player, was fortunate enough to go to every level and play, had some success along the way, and got into the coaching ranks and worked my way from being a college secondary coach at San Jose State. And then from there, going to Kansas City with the first time I went there when Marty was the head coach, and Cowher was on that staff, and Tony Dungy and Bruce Arians. We had a bunch of really good coaches. and then going with Tony to Tampa, and then going to New York, and then coming back to Kansas City, getting traded to come back, and then sat out for a while, and waited for the right situation. I had opportunities, numerous opportunities to come back at both levels, but it needed to be the right fit for me. And knowing Ray Anderson, who was my agent about 20 years ago, had the same vision, trying to build a program here at ASU, and it's been a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And what got me going more than anything else was the Under Armour All-American game. I coached that for 8 years, the high school kids. A lot of great players, high school players, and a lot of them went on to pro football. And it's kind of unique, on those Saturdays after the games, those players would come up to me and always remind me, say, Coach, you need to go back to college and coach college football. You'd be great. You'd be great for college football. So it's kind of interesting. It kind of worked out for me.
So when you say that you had a lot of other options, but you chose Arizona State, there's two reasons that I could imagine. Number one, that connection that you had with Ray, or number two, that the state of Arizona is in many ways a sleeping football giant. There's a lot of really good high school talent there, and neither Arizona State nor Arizona has ever been able to be able to have consistent high-end winning. And plus, Arizona State is in the middle of a major metropolis area, so it's not hard to recruit too. Which part of that was the reason that this was the right fit?
Well, all of that had something to do with it, and the fact that I was recruited out of high school to come here. Coach Cush recruited me, and at that point, they weren't in the Pac-8, so I wanted to play in the Rose Bowl, so I ended up going to Cal. But it's just a circle. The circle's complete now for me, and I want to build a program that, as you said, we can be a consistent winner. We're always challenging for the Pac-12 South, and we were one game short last year of being a part of that playoff system, that we have in this conference, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, we played a lot of close games. Our kids are starting to learn how to play, but we're going to be very young. We have 36 players on our team right now that are freshmen or redshirt freshmen. But that's the program. That's what we're trying to build. We were fortunate enough to get 3 quarterbacks as freshmen to come in here, and one of them's going to start for us. The other kid's the backup guy. And Ethan Long is kind of a utility guy. He kind of does everything for us. So it's a lot of fun, and we're going to play young guys, and we're going to win with them.
To take the years off you did from coaching and to go from an NFL head coach to a college football head coach, I'm sure there is something that surprised you or caught you off guard after year number 1. What was that?
Well, I think, the time constraints, obviously, a 20-hour rule, and that's 20 hours during the week when the season starts, and 3 of those go to the game, so it's 17 hours. How you condense information to players is critical. And the length of games, you watch it on television, and you really don't, you kind of say, these games are long, then you find out there's 20 timeouts. You go, oh, boy, that's a lot of timeouts. And there was a 20-minute halftime. I said, 20-minute halftime? I said, you could take a nap in 20 minutes. The NFL halftimes are 12 minutes. As soon as the clock, as soon as the gun goes off, the clock is running, man. It's 12 minutes. I said, 20 minutes? What do you do in 20 minutes? All right? But it's been a lot of fun. And obviously the clock, the clock is it stops running, and in pro football it's running all the time, and so games are a little bit longer. You got 105 players in the NFL. You only dress 46 guys, so there's a lot of moving parts here, And it's I said, you got how many players? You got 105. I said, well, only 45 guys are going to play, and you got 105. What do the rest of those guys do? Right? So it's kind of interesting that way. But you know what? I love being around these young people. They have a lot of energy, boy, and they got dreams and hopes, and it's fun to be with them and talk to them about, just life, and not just football, but just life. And I've been around a lot of great coaches, and if I can influence some of these young men when they leave our watch to become better men, then I've done a good job. Before
I let you go, when I got to know you in Kansas City, I always found you professional, diplomatic, and intense. When I listen to your interviews now and I see you on TV and talking to you today, I hear happiness and I hear gratitude. Do you feel that way now at this point in your life and your coaching career?
Absolutely, because of the game of football. Football has provided me a livelihood that I could never imagine when I was 8 or 9 years old, thinking I wanted to play football. I tell people I never had a job. I've always been in football. I'm a lifer. And I'm not afraid to say that. I mean, some guys say, well, I'm a lifer. I truly am a lifer. And I just think I'm indebted to the game, and I want to make the game better because I coached it, and I always felt that way when I played it. Make it better for the next generation to follow you. Because it's a great game. It tells you so many things about who you are and about life. It's a wonderful game when you think about it this way. All different backgrounds and cultures and people walk into a locker room. Some of them have different opinions, but at the end, we respect each other. And there's this journey you take every year as a football team. And you need each other to win. You can't do it by yourself. And that's the greatness of football. It doesn't see color, doesn't see religion, doesn't see political views. It doesn't matter. It's just like we come together and you go, okay, let's go.
Herm Edwards in Arizona State kicks off its season August the 29th, a Thursday night against Kent State. And then Sacramento State, and then a big one at Michigan State in East Lansing, which should be a really, really interesting matchup to watch on TV. That one's going to be on Fox. And Arizona State coming off finishing second in the Pac-12 South last year in a Las Vegas Bowl appearance with 7 wins. Herm Edwards in his second year head coaching at the Arizona State Sun Devils program. Coach, it's really nice that you decided to do this interview with us, and I thank you for the time very much. It's really good to be able to catch up and do this again after what we used to talk a lot regularly about 10 years ago or so in Kansas City. So thanks so much for doing it, man, and hopefully we can do this again. This made me really happy.
We will, my friend. And you tell your dad I said hello, and he should be proud of you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that, Coach. Okay.
Bye-bye.